This November will mark 2 years since the release of Pokémon Sword and Shield for the Nintendo Switch, and with it brings a few remaining questions about what could still come for the 8th generation of Pokémon. When the DLCs for Pokémon Sword and Shield were announced, the immediate thoughts and responses were that there wouldn't be a third version of this game, like we've seen in the past with games like Pokémon Yellow, Crystal, Emerald, Platinum, and more. But could this really be the case for the 8th generation? Could we see third versions make a return to the Pokémon franchise? Make sure you subscribe, turn on notifications, and hit that like button if you haven't already, and let's discuss these questions. Most media outlets and people as a whole immediately grasped onto the idea that Pokémon Sword and Shield wouldn't get a third version of the game as soon as the DLC packs were announced. It was already speculated and pretty much known that there wouldn't be a third version, mainly because there hasn't been a true third version of a Pokémon game since Pokémon Platinum launched in 2008. However, we did receive Pokémon Black 2 and White 2, as well as Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon. While those games weren't technically the third version, they were basically third versions of the game since they had improved over the originals and brought some extra story and features to the base game. The third version games were always scrutinized and put under fire because they were essentially the same game as its predecessors, but had some improvements in the ability to catch all the legendary Pokémon available in that generation. It wasn't a surprise that Nintendo started to lay off of making third versions of the Pokémon games since they were so heavily criticized and most fans felt as if they should have just waited for that third game to come out instead of buying one or both of the original copies. So Nintendo pretty much took it one step further, and instead of releasing one extra version of the game, they made it 2 extra versions of the game so that they would seem like almost sequels, but really they were just improvements with some additional stories or plot points. This was somewhat of a better option for us Pokemon fans, but it again felt like you could have just waited for the improved and enhanced versions of the original games. What's odd to note, as well, is that Nintendo ran with the 2 extra versions for both Generation 5 and Generation 7, but didn't do anything extra for Generation 6. It was speculated for a long time that Pokémon Z would be on its way to the 3DS a few years after X and Y launched, but that didn't turn out to be the case. Even though it seems like Nintendo had abandoned the third version idea, it's still definitely a possibility for Sword and Shield, and here's why. Both Sword and Shield have benefited greatly from the Switch's success. They have sold very well, and the DLC packs released within the last year were a fantastic addition to the base game. So why not double down on this success and release another version of Sword and Shield? Well, alluding back to our previous statement before, most people think the reason there won't be a third version is because of the DLC's existence itself. Why would we need another version of Sword and Shield if we got the DLC? Although it seems like the DLC is replacing what a third game would add, I'd argue the opposite and say that it just makes their lives easier with releasing a third version. Now, if they wanted to, they could easily have the extra content to pack into the third game. All they'd have to do is improve some of the glitches or minor issues that Sword and Shield originally had, as well as adding all the Pokémon that can be found from both games into one and attaching the DLC as the post-game or part of the story. There's been a lot of rumors regarding a third DLC as well, and lately it's been leaked that Game Freak did in fact have a third DLC planned, but it was scrapped. However, this doesn't mean that it was deleted, so there's absolutely a chance that if they decide to go the old route and release a third version, or go the new route and release 2 sequel/new versions of the originals, then we would most likely see that third DLC as part of the story in the improved versions. So let's keep an eye out for more news regarding potential third versions of Sword and Shield. If this happened, it would most likely come out next fall or winter of 2022, and Gen 9 would then come out the year after, around like 2023. With the Switch's undoubted success up to this point, it seems like a total no-brainer to have a third, more improved version of the Sword and Shield games released, and hopefully Nintendo and Game Freak are thinking the same way, and we could see this come to fruition or officially announced by the start of next year. Thanks everyone for joining us for this weekend's video. We love every second that we play Pokemon, and we're glad we got to discuss these rumors with all of you, so make sure you leave a comment below on your thoughts of everything we talked about in today's video. Thanks again guys, leave a like and subscribe if you haven't already, and we'll see you all in the next one.